Hey guys, what is going on? This is your good old pal, CHH. Welcome to yet another video. I feel like we just saw each other. So you guys remember back in the 70s, there was the George Romero film, The Crazies. Now this was between, night and dawn, and there were a number of films that are kind of more psychedelic and experimental that George did. I think The Crazies, the original, was him trying to go back more into a specific horror route that I think his audience was probably looking for at the time. And The Crazies was a pretty good little film. I mean, I'm a fan of it, but I would never say that I thought that The Crazies was a legendary horror film, to put it honestly. But it is a movie I recommend. I think Arrow did a really good job with this Blu-ray. I don't know if this will ever get any sort of 4K, but I'm sure you can get this really cheap, and I think it's a good release. So, man, in 2010... we were going through that remake phase, and I think the farther we get away from that phase, the better those films are getting. I really do. And it's interesting because if you take some of those movies, I find that some of the better remakes were the ones where they were certainly, cult movies, but not like the mainstays, like the Halloween and Friday the 13th. And one of those movies happened to be The Crazies. They did a remake of The Crazies. Listen, I had not watched this movie in many, many years. It had been at least 7 or 8 years since I'd seen The Crazies. Believe it or not, I did see this one in the movie theater and had no idea it was a remake at the time. I think I learned about that maybe shortly afterwards. I think I simply went to the movie as like a date or something. I remember enjoying it, and then I maybe watched it one time after that, whether it be on Blu-ray or DVD. I think I have the Blu-ray for this. I was trying to find it, the previous Blu-ray for this video, but it's lost in the Mohican sun, if you will, in this room. It's somewhere around here. But the plot of The Crazies is pretty interesting. I actually think this is a realistic look at how the zombie apocalypse would actually happen. Essentially, this horrid toxin starts to get loose in this small town. Now, before you know it, people start to kind of lose their mind, and they start to exhibit strange mental states. And they start to get worse and worse. And it's funny because I would call The Crazies a zombie film, sure, but it doesn't feel and come across that way. And I think that's because there's more of an emphasis on the government element of that to this movie, which I think is a smart element that they approached it with. Because, when you talk about the zombie movies, like I would put this as a part of the family, but it's kind of like Return of the Living Dead. Nobody thinks of Return of the Living Dead, and the first thing they think of is zombies. There's so many things about that movie, the cast, the music, everything about that makes that movie just great. Not a great zombie film. And I think I would put The Crazies in a similar category, is because, there are elements to this film. It's not just rabid zombies biting people or doing this or that. It's different. I give a lot of credit to The Crazies, this remake. It's pretty interesting. The thing I like about this remake is there's real emphasis to this small town, off of the beaten path sort of feel, but realistic. I mean, it's a small town. People live there. Of course, there has to be a family doctor. Of course, there has to be police. There has to be stability in this small town, but it very well feels like a small town, and I give a lot of credit to that. I think the cast on this was great. It feels very much late 2000s, but again, I think as we get farther away from that time, I appreciate that era a little bit more. I mean, that was when this movie came out. I'm taken aback to starting a new chapter in my life. I had graduated high school and I was going into adulthood essentially, and I remember watching this film at a time where a million things were running through my mind, and it takes a movie like The Crazies to take all the struggles of daily life off of my mind, dealing with a town being blockaded in by the government and basically, having this gigantic siege of wipe these people out. If they look sick, wipe them out. We'll cover it all up anyway. I think some people may talk about this in the comments section. The question is, which one is better, the remake or the original? I love Mr. Romero very, very deeply. He's my favorite director, but I will edge it out. I think the remake is a more stable, a more enjoyable film. The only thing I will say about The Crazies, now there's a little bit more issues I find with the original Crazies, but here's the only one issue I have with this movie that also goes with the original as well. I needed to chop off at least 10 minutes of this film. Never boring, but it does stretch itself pretty thin. It feels like a longer movie. Honestly, besides that, it's a hell of a ride. I mean, for a movie to make a car wash scene feel very stressful is impressive. There's some really great scenes in this. I love the cast, and it's a good remake. I think I would put it at the upper echelon of the 2000s horror remake boom. I think the Crazies would be pretty high up there. I also feel it would be a good double feature with My Bloody Valentine. You know, you got the suit thing going on with both of them. You can kind of have this kind, you know what I'm saying. All right, guys, so here's the deal. This is my first time dealing with Lionsgate Limited. I find it a little interesting that I think this is an online thing only. I will give them credit. They shipped this very well, if anybody's wondering about that. They shipped it in a box, flooded with bubble wrap. I mean, this thing took me a few seconds to get out. It definitely was packaged well, as you can see. This thing is in great condition. We'll take a close inspection at this, but I will give credit to Lionsgate Limited. Now, this is a good sign, guys. There's a lot of titles that we could potentially see get 4Ks from this era, and with this Lionsgate Limited line hopefully being successful, that will bring to fruition other movies. I know this is a hot button movie, but I'd be remiss to say that, hey, Lionsgate, now that you guys have Rob Zombie's 2 Halloween films, I'd love to see something a little bit like that. Hell, you know, this is also the anniversary, I believe it's the 20th anniversary of The Devil's Rejects. You may as well do that on 4K and not give us just another Blu-ray again. Mr. Zombie, get out the way. If you are the one that's stopping that from happening, please get out of the way. But I gotta say, as a release, I'm very happy with this. Now, let's talk about the picture first, then we'll talk about the actual aesthetics of this, and as well as special features, if there are some special features to talk about. All right, so in terms of picture, you know, I do remember watching this movie on Blu-ray before, and you got to remember, this was at a time where Blu-ray was a young format, and I think the Blu-rays were really set to look good on those types of early flat screens back in the day. The movie has this very shiny flat look, like a lot of those old Blu-rays did. So I didn't really know what to expect. And, you know, as I got this out, I put on the 4K of the Crazies, and within about 10 minutes of watching it, I was like, that looks like it was shot on film, because I was like, this is impressive. This looks really good. Everything about the 4K, the skin tones, the look of the film, all that flatness in the image was completely gone. You really got a sense of the depth of like the baseball field you're at and everything. Everybody's skin looked nice and realistic. There's actually even a decent little level of film grain in there that just had an authenticity feel to it. I was like, that was 2010? I don't know. Sure enough, there was a special feature in here where the director himself said, oh yeah, we shot this on film because I wanted that massive widescreen look. It was all shot on film. The Crazies was shot on film. So I'll tell you guys, I don't think this is 4K of the year by any stretch, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give this an 8.8 on the out of 10 scale as a 4K. I got to say, I was really happy with this one. I really was. Now, I popped the Blu-ray on, and I do think that the Blu-ray had much more of that, almost that synthetic look, like those older Blu-rays, but I don't know which I would assume most people buying this are going to get it for the 4K regardless, but definitely get this if you're a 4K person, because that's where I felt the film really... Guys, I mean, it was shot on film. It was shot on film. It looked really good. I was super happy with this. In terms of the audio, too, like, I have a Dolby Atmos setup now. It's not where I want to be, but I have a better setup, and this had Dolby Atmos audio, and it rocked the house. Oh, man, when the helicopters come over, man, you'll feel it now. Guys, I gotta say, for a studio release, these Lionsgate Limited, so far, I mean, this is my only one. I'm a customer now of this Lionsgate Limited, especially with the horror stuff. This is a decent release. I'm gonna tell you guys, I'm not even finished with talking about the features yet. I would recommend it. I honestly would recommend it, and it's just as well. I mean, I guess if you order this online as opposed to trying to get it at the stores, it's always a pain in the ass when people try to order these from Walmart, or if they try to find them in the stores. I mean, if you get them online from Lionsgate directly, I could tell you they ship mine very well in a box in bubble wrap, and it came flawlessly. Let's talk about the special features. Let's look at that really quick, because there are some new features on here, and I give them credit for that too. There was a brand new audio commentary with Breck Eisner, the director. There's an establishing shot mini documentary with Breck Eisner, sculpting the horror of the Crazies. There's the alternative ending and storyboard to Scream with the car wash, which the car wash scene is fantastic. There's also all the previous stuff from the older releases, of course, the previous commentary, the behind the scenes and things like that. But I got to say, it was nice. They actually got interviews with the director, and that's where the brand new interviews, and that's where he talked about shooting this on film. In terms of the release, I do like that it still very much looks very much like a 2010 Steelbook, but I love it. I really do love it. That looks great. I like that. You got your slip that slides right off. And all your information stuff is on the back of that. And what I like about these releases is, I'm kind of getting to where, like, I'm a little rough with my stuff. I take care of my stuff, but it's nice to have the stuff that's the slide over slips, because I don't feel like I need to put them all in those protective cases. Here's what the Steelbook looks like, and I think you guys would agree that that's pretty nice. You got the couple on the front. He was really good in this, the cop. Here's the back. I think it opens up and makes a picture, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. I mean, what do you think, guys? You get a code for the Crazies. And here's your 2 discs. You get your 4K and your Blu-ray, which the Blu-ray also has the Atmos audio. But like I said, watch this. If you're getting this, make sure you're a 4K person. The 4K looked fantastic. And I love the disc art. What do you guys think? Guys, I mean, I don't really have much to complain about on this. I think the price on this was like $30, which isn't cheap. But it does feel like a boutique release, I guess, because of the fact that there are new features on here. They did a great job with the picture and audio, all the restoration stuff. I mean, essentially, I guess this is boutique since it's Lionsgate Limited. But I'm going to give this a recommendation. I'm going to give it a recommendation. I think the movie's really good first and foremost. They did a good job on the release. There's a lot of good features on here with the director. And the audio rocked the house, guys. I mean, it's kind of everything you need. And in terms of the artwork, I think most people would like this, so there you have it, guys. That is the Lionsgate Limited 4K release of the Crazies. I'm going to stick around with Lionsgate Limited and pick up other ones that I find to be for me. So let me know what you guys think about the film down below, the Crazies remake. I really enjoyed it, and I really don't have any complaints about the release. So there you have it, guys. Check it out. Order at Lionsgate Limited. Go online and order it, and it should ship very, very safely to you. Maybe somebody might have a bad issue with them before, but for me, I can just go off of what they did for me. They shipped it to me in a box and bubble wrap. So there you have it, guys. Thank y'all for watching. Enjoy the film, The Crazies 2010. Huge, giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind-the-scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.